Good evening, everybody. Let me know when you can see me and when you can hear me. I see Mr. Mod's telling on me. I'm sorting out cables. Nothing is a secret around here. It's hard to keep secrets when your mod sits about 6 feet away from you. Oh, let's see who we've got in the chat this evening. Hope you guys are doing well. Going early tonight. I don't know if you saw it. I tried to put it in the chat. Going early tonight because Hutch is doing his premiere of the mag that he's been working on for a while at 8:15 Central, 9:15 Eastern. So I'm going a little bit earlier because I don't want to miss it, and I don't want you guys to miss it either. So we're going to cut it off at 1 hour sharp, so we have a little bit of a time to have a break, run to the bathroom, get your snacks, get your drinks, and sit back down and get ready to watch it. Let's see here. So let's see who we've got. I see there's been a lot of conversation going on here. 5x5. Thank you, Miss Monique. Oops, 7-second delay. Monique beat you to it. Hope everyone's doing well tonight. Let's see. Let me say hello real quick to everyone who we got. I see Joe and Hutch was here. Let's see. Loretta was here earlier. I'm going to assume everyone is still here or coming back in. Let's see. Scroll it on down. Looks like Joe and Hutch, y'all were having a good old conversation there for a bit. Jeep, how you doing? Danny and Lorraine, good to see you. Welcome. Let's see. And of course, Mr. Monique, welcome, welcome. Goodbye. Good to see you. Let's see. I see Hutch. You're back. Awesome. Virginia, welcome. Bug Dude. Oops. Everything's jumping up on me here. Okay. Let's see. Moonsprouts, how you doing? Good to see you. All right. Cherokee, good to see you, sir. If anyone's not familiar, that is, let's see, Cherokee, is this your new channel? Because I heard that you got dinged on your usual channel. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is this one now is this your backup or is this your now current channel? Regardless, if you guys if you aren't subbed to Cherokee on that one, make sure you sub to him there, because you know how this platform does. It'll ding you. It'll put you in a timeout. So everybody's got to have their backups. Let's see here. Not what it seems. Hello. Welcome. Yeah, it is. Okay. All right. All right, folks. So if you're not subbed to Cherokee's channel there, this Cherokee Survival 760, you may want to check that out so you don't miss any of his content. Treasures in Kentucky, welcome. Good to see you. It's your new channel. Okay, that's what I thought. I'd seen that around in somebody's stream somewhere, however many days ago, where somebody told me. It all runs together at this point. But yeah, I want to try and spread the word there for anyone who's gotten a little time out or gotten the smackdown from the tube. You know how they do. Hey, Leslie, how are you doing? Welcome. Appreciate you being here. Sunflower Prepper, good to see you. Okay, guys, so like I said, we're going to pretty much keep it to an hour. And you know what? Sherry, good to see you. How you doing? We might be done sooner than an hour. Who knows? You know how it is. We kind of get talking sometimes, but I'm actually going to try and hold it to that 1 hour for sure, because like I said, I want to go and see this. If you guys haven't seen Hutch's trailer for the mag, you need to go check it out. You know, it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it. But let's see here. So I've actually got some notes, if you can believe that. So I came up with a title for this stream tonight: Back to the Basics of Food. What are pantry staples and why should I store them? Now, I'm not meaning me specifically, but a general, like, why should you? And initially I thought, this might be good for people. We're getting an ever-increasing amount or a number of people who are coming into the preparedness community more and more and more, and they're just starting out or they don't know where to start and what should I store. And everyone has their own lists or their own ideas of what staples are and what you should be storing. So this is really just going to be my ideas of what you should, and I'm putting that in air quotes, what you probably want to consider storing. Obviously, make adjustments based on how your family eats or how you eat. I'm actually going to include some things on here that we don't store. because of food allergies, and you may have certain dietary requirements that prevent you from storing or from consuming certain things, in which case just you don't buy it and you don't eat it. Pretty simple, right? Hey, Metal, how are you? Welcome, welcome. So I've got a list here, and it's not like, an even number of things like the top 10 things. It's just a list of stuff I started making, and it's not really in any kind of particular order. In fact, some of it kind of seems to be in somewhat of an order, and then I just kind of got off and I started thinking of just different things. But I'm going to run through this. I think I've got like 20, let's see, 6, 7, 8. I think I've got 28 things on here. And like I said, not any particular order. And I'm going to kind of go through it and kind of make my own little commentary here. And then let's just kind of talk about it, because I thought, if any of you know country music, the Back to the Basics of Food title came from, because I've had freaking Waylon Jennings stuck in my head for 2 days. Luckenbach, Texas, the song Back to the Basics of Love, and it keeps playing in my head. And I love me some Waylon, don't get me wrong, but it's been my earbug for the last 2 days, and I'm ready to get it out. And I've even tried listening to it. So I thought, as I was singing it to myself for the umpteenth millionth time, I thought, that would make kind of it got me thinking, and I thought, that'd be a good, might be a good live stream. Let's talk about food basics. Just food, no water, no hygiene, no medical stuff, just food. And it might be a good reminder, or, might kind of trigger something for some of us who've been doing it for a while of, oh yeah, I don't have any of that, or yeah, it might be good if I did have some of this. All right. So a lot of times I think that when people start off in preparedness, I know, at least for me anyway, hey, Hillbilly Homesteader, how you doing? Trying to kind of look and see people coming in. I think a lot of folks getting started, hey, Hava, I see you too. I'm trying to catch people there. When people first get started in preparedness, I think they bypass the staples. I can tell you that I did. When I first got into it, my thought was, what in the hell am I going to do with a 20-pound sack of sugar and, 50 pounds of flour, or however much flour? Because at the time when I got into it, it was, I had these folks who'd been doing it a while going, no, you have to store 50 pounds of this and 50 pounds of that. And I was like, what the shit am I going to do with 50 pounds of flour? I don't, I don't bake, I don't cook, I don't do that. What am I going to do that for? So I bypassed it. And I see that happening a lot with the people who are pretty new to preparedness. You're bypassing I want to call it the raw materials, these basics, right? These basic ingredients or pantry staples, right? And going straight for, because we have a lot more now of box meals, or and there's nothing wrong with box meals. Don't get me wrong. We've got some for sure. And I understand why people go for it. It's convenience and it's quick. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. I think you should have some, but I think you should go, and this is all going to be my opinion, of course, I think you should go for your basics first, especially now more than ever, because we are seeing, what are we seeing in the stores, guys? Empty shelves. We're seeing empty shelves. We're seeing inflation. We're seeing shrinkflation. So there are a multitude of reasons why you're going to need these basics. Okay. I think I'm going to stop here. I'm kind of ad-libbing this, so I'm going to stop here. I'm going to go down my list. Hey, K0MRD Radio Prepper, how you doing? Okay, let's see. Let me make sure if I missed anybody. I think I got anyone. Dr. Herbalist, how you doing? Klingon Princess, I saw you as well. If I missed anyone, I apologize. I'm trying to grab real quick. If you're coming in a little bit later, I was just saying I'm going to stick straight to an hour, because I don't think any of us want to miss going over to Hutch's channel. You're doing it 8:15, right, Hutch? I think I said 8 o'clock earlier, but I believe it's 8:15. Hey, Tiger, how you doing? Hey, Tennessee. Yeah, there are starting to be some big gaps, Tennessee, for sure. Okay, I won't tell anybody. Don't worry. Hey, I meant to ask you. I'll hit you up on your stream later. I was going to ask, or you can drop it in the comments if you want. What did your son wind up getting for his birthday? And that's completely off topic. So Okay, I'm going to go down my list and I'm just going to go down. Like I said, it's like 20 some odd different things, not in any particular order. Okay, I'm going to pull my little notepad over so I can at least kind of sort of keep an eye in the chat a little bit. So, hey, Jeremy, how you doing? All right. Now, I put down the first couple of things: pasta, beans, rice, flour, and sugar. That's the first 5 things I put down. Now, are those my quote unquote top 5? No. Like I said, this is in random order. Hey, Creative Redundancy, welcome. So, beans can be any kind of, pasta, any kind of pasta. And I'm not even going to talk packaging, repacking, none of that. This tonight is just straight basics, food, things to keep in your pantry. Pasta, whatever kind of pasta you like. If you like shells, if you like elbow macaroni, spaghetti, fettuccine, whatever floats your boat, get it. Get a couple different kinds. Pasta is cheap. And that's the thing. All these staples, these pantry staples, as we call them, they're usually going to be a hell of a lot less expensive than a box meal. And you can make a lot more, and it's going to cost you a lot less in the long run. Okay. Hey, Native, welcome. So, like I said, pasta, beans, any kind of beans at all. Now, I did see as it scrolled by, Joe, I did see that you said you don't like beans. If you don't like beans, then don't get them. They are a really good source of protein. They have, even the ones that you can go online and look at lists and find lists online available of which beans have the most protein. It's soybeans, by the way. Soybeans have the most protein, all the way down to what has the least amount of protein, which I think is black turtle beans, I believe. But even the least amount of protein is still a lot. So I would say find something that maybe you can tolerate. Something that cooks up very quickly and easily are lentils. They are high in protein. They're, I believe, definitely in the top 10 of high protein beans, possibly the top 5. I'd have to go find a list again. They cook up really fast. They are very versatile. You can use lentils to extend your meat, your actual beef, things like that. You can use them, in place of meat. They're just really, really versatile. They're great in the soups too. Now, whether you want dry beans or canned beans, that's up to you. You decide, okay? Depending on where you are in your preparedness journey, but beans for sure. Rice. Now, I put rice on here. Really, you can go with any grain. If you don't really like rice a whole lot or you don't eat it a lot and you prefer something else like maybe barley, go with barley. That's fine. Rice is just a real basic. Now, I would say I'm talking about white rice, not brown rice. The reason I'm saying not brown rice is, goodbye, I just looked over in the chat and saw you said stash some jelly beans. I would put that under morale. I wouldn't say that's necessarily a staple, but yeah, jelly beans. But as far as rice, I'm talking about white rice. You do not want to store brown rice. And the reason for that is because it does not keep. It does go rancid. I can tell you from personal experience, and there are loads of people out there who will tell you from personal experience, it does go rancid. If you're not eating it regularly, it does turn. Even if you keep it in the freezer, it will eventually turn. It turns pretty quickly, actually. Even if it's in a bucket with an oxygen absorber, it will turn and go rancid. Yes, it will. We've had some turn and go rancid on us, and we tossed it. And it's simply because brown rice, what makes it so healthy, it still has, the oils and everything in there. Well, that oil is going to turn and it goes bad. So I'm talking about white rice, okay? Flour. You're going to want flour, whether you want, I would say white flour, if you're at a point in your preparedness journey where you're looking at maybe even having your own grain mill to where you want to grind your own flour, then that's even better, in my opinion. We grind our own flour. And I've done a video on that where I made the bread to make the grilled cheese sandwich from Preps. If you go a few months ago, I did that, and I showed grinding the wheat to make the flour, to make the bread, to make the grilled cheese sandwich. A lot of people may not be at that point, especially if you're brand new. Obviously, that's not something you need to be looking at right away because grain mills are really expensive, but just get you some flour. Decide whatever kind of flour you want to get and have that on hand. Sugar. Now, I'm talking about white sugar here. A lot of people are against having sugar. It's not good for you, blah, blah. I understand that. However, these are pantry staples, and you're using these staples to cook. You're going to need sugar for different things to put into baked goods, just in cooking in general. So, you know, if you are really, really against sugar, then look at maybe having honey as an alternative. Okay. Brown sugar, same thing. If you're not into brown sugar or you want something different, honey, molasses, you know, there are a lot of other options out there for sweeteners, okay? Baking powder and baking soda, two different things, but you want to have those. Baking soda can be used in a lot of other applications as well. You can use it for cleaning as well. Did you know that? You can use it for to absorb odors, right? So let's see, I've got eggs on here too. Now eggs, again, depending on where you are in your preparedness journey, if you are only getting fresh eggs from the store or you have chickens, great, you have eggs. For long-term storage, you're going to want to look at powdered eggs. And there are a lot of different brands out there. Everyone's got their favorite of what reconstitutes the best. So anybody in chat, if you've got a favorite powdered egg or favorite any kind of storage food, feel free to drop it there in the chat so that folks who are maybe watching a replay or folks who are lurking, because, you know, we got lots of lurkers here. Hey to all my lurkers. So people will know. Yeah, exactly, Niv. Maple syrup is great too. There's all kinds. There's Karo syrup. There's a lot of different things that you can use for a sweetener. Absolutely. Yeah, maple syrup lasts forever. A lot of things will. And just to jump off here on the maple syrup, folks, if you're getting maple syrup, get the real stuff. It costs more, but look at it as a little bit of an investment, okay? It's the real deal. You'll actually wind up using less of it than if you get like the Mrs. Butterworth's or something like that, Log Cabin, where it's a little bit of syrup, but mostly like a corn syrup. You want the real deal, the real maple syrup, okay? If you choose to go with the maple syrup route. So let's see, me hop back over into my list. So eggs, fresh eggs, great, or powdered eggs for long-term storage. And there are different options available out there depending on what reconstitutes the best if you choose to go for the long-term foods, okay? Cheese. Everybody loves some cheese, right? I know I do. Fresh cheese, excellent. Now you can also get for long-term storage if you're looking for something long-term, okay? Cheese powder, which is probably not optimal, but if you want cheese flavor, you can get that. You can also get, I call it the fake cheese. It's basically like Velveeta. It's processed cheese. And a lot of people like processed cheese. I actually don't care for it a whole lot. I've talked about in the past. There are some brands, Bega, I think it's Bega, that I did in the grilled cheese video a while back. We have that, and it actually tastes all right. I mean, it's obviously a processed cheese, but it tastes better than most, in my opinion. But there are options for that as well. Butter. Now, I've got butter on here, and I've got canned or powder, because you can get butter powder if you're looking at long-term. You can also get canned butter, okay? And the Red Feather is, as far as I know, the only canned butter available on the market that I am aware of. If anyone else knows of another brand of canned butter for long-term storage, please drop it in the chat for sure. Red Feather is the only one I know of. It's really good, actually, and I use that again in my video that I keep mentioning because I've used some of these preps in that video. I also have on here, you know, I thought, well, maybe some people don't want butter. Maybe they prefer margarine. That's fine. It's a fat. That's what we're looking for, is having that butter as a fat, because if you're cooking more with your staples, you're going to be using these items all together in conjunction at some point, okay? So whether it's butter or it's margarine, pick what you'd like. Long-term storage, I don't know that margarine is a long-term option, to be quite honest, so just keep that in mind. So actually right here underneath butter, I've got oil. Now, when I've got oil, I'm thinking of vegetable oil or canola oil or olive oil. If you are brand new to this, my first choice, if I was going to get one oil, would be vegetable. If I was going to pick a second one, I have plenty of vegetable oil, because to me, I think vegetable oil is much more versatile. You can fry with it. You can use it in baking if needed. There are a lot of applications for vegetable oil. To me, vegetable oil is very neutral. Okay. Now, if you plan to be making a lot of things like salad dressing and stuff like that, where you're going to need more olive oil, I would get olive oil later after I've got my vegetable oil. That's just me. If you use lots of oil in general and you go to the store and you use enough oil to warrant getting a jug of it, get a jug of it. Olive oil, just keep in mind, oils in general, they can turn rancid, eventually. So you would need to be using these pretty regularly. And if you're cooking a lot at home, you will be using them regularly because you'll be cooking daily, right? So oils. Okay, now we're getting into some other things here. Rolled oats. Now, some people may not particularly care for oats. You may say, I don't like oatmeal. You don't have to necessarily use it for oatmeal. I personally like oatmeal. Fun fact, I never really had oatmeal until I was in my 20s. Didn't grow up eating it. We grew up eating grits. I'm from the South, y'all. But rolled oats. And I said rolled oats, not steel-cut oats. I actually looked into it because steel-cut oats are better for you, but it's very similar to like with brown rice. They will turn faster. So if you're eating steel-cut oats, or Irish oats, as they're sometimes called, and when you see in stories, you'll see people talk about maybe porridge. That would be steel-cut oats. Fun fact. But steel-cut oats will turn quicker than rolled oats. Rolled oats will last much longer. And if you're into storing them for long-term in a Mylar bag with an oxygen absorber, it'll last a really, really, really long time. Okay, so just so you know, hey, 101, I see you in there. So oats, consider oats. You can use oats in a lot of baking. You can make cookies. You can use oats in bread. You can use oats in with your beef, with meat. You can put it in meatloaf. A lot of people do that in general to help, again, instead of, like I talked about earlier, using lentils to extend your beef, use oatmeal. My mother did that when I was growing up. She extended our beef with oatmeal, or with oats, I should say, excuse me. So consider storing rolled oats. They're really cheap. All of these items are very inexpensive. Okay. So after oats, I was talking about grits. Well, I have on here cornmeal, and I've also got next to it or maseca. Okay, masa. If you make tortillas, if you prefer to make your homemade corn tortillas, which are super, super easy to make, you guys, and nothing beats a fresh corn tortilla. If you know what I'm talking about. I'm about to sound like Tribe here for a second. Hit one if you know what I'm talking about. Fresh corn tortilla, homemade. But what the heck? I'm seeing something about a salt lick. See, I'm gonna stop looking in the chat. Hey, Five Virgins Prepper, how are you? Oh my gosh. Oh, 101 is starting stuff. Okay, I got you. Oh my goodness. Yeah, native. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, moon sprouts, Leslie. Yeah, those fresh corn tortillas. Tortillas are actually super, super easy to make. They really, really are. We have some masa. I keep it in the freezer, and when we make tacos for dinner. It's pretty easy to roll out, or I actually have a tortilla press. I just press out some corn tortillas, and pretty easy. But cornmeal, if you don't want to do masa and tortillas, that's fine. Okay. Cornmeal, you can do a lot with it. You can make cornbread, guys. I mean, make a pan of cornbread. You can use cornmeal in other applications as well. You can use it to coat if you do fish. You can, you want to do a little fish fry at home. You can do a lot with cornmeal. So, it's like I said, some of this may be with cornmeal. I did kind of wonder if that was a little bit regional. People in the South, we may be more inclined towards cornmeal. If you're not and you think, no, but we use breadcrumbs, then get seasoned breadcrumbs. If you use those a lot, then use that. Okay. I didn't put seasoned breadcrumbs on here or breadcrumbs in general, because really you could make breadcrumbs at home. I know it's a pain in the tuchus a little bit. It's a little work. But if you prefer to store breadcrumbs, then do that. Okay. So moving on from that, I have instant potatoes. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I grew up with cardboard box of instant potatoes, and they tasted like the cardboard, and I did not like them, but things have changed, right? So now we have pouches of instant potatoes, and they will store longer. So whatever kind of instant potatoes you like to get, because again, It's a great extender. It's something that it's filling. It will fill you up. You can use it in other ways to cook. If you're not into it, then don't get it. But this is what I've got on my list here. Monique, you've never had cornbread? Oh my gosh. You've got to have some cornbread. Now, folks in the chat, cornbread with sugar or without? I think that's definitely a regional thing. Even in the South, it depends on where in the South. Some people like that sweet cornbread. I don't. Klingon, you have some dent corn. So do we. Yeah, we've got some dent corn for sure. 5 don't know nothing about rabbit corn dodgers. I'm seeing stuff in the chat. Y'all are funny. Instant potatoes. Never had them until you were an adult, but love them. Yeah, I didn't grow up eating mashed potatoes, Joe. So it was not something that we really had. And I had more mashed potatoes as I got older, and started, I had this conscious decision of I want to try other things, that I've never tried before, as long as it wasn't going to, try to kill me because of allergies. And yeah, and pretty good stuff. All right, let's see here. So instant potatoes. I'm keeping an eye on the time. We're not quite halfway through. I've got instant dry milk. Okay. So for my lactose intolerant people, for those of us who can't really do the dry milk, the dairy, right? There is instant soy milk. You have to order it. And if you're already drinking soy milk, you know that stuff is going to cost a little more, and it's not going to come in the big gigantic bag as the non-fat or the dry dairy milk, but you can still get it. So there is an alternative out there if you're not able to do the dairy. But instant dry milk, then that way, there's a lot of them that reconstitute really well, actually. There are a lot of different options. There's store brands that are in the bags. There's long-term stuff like the first one that comes to mind is Augustin Farms Morning Moos, which is, I don't know that it's dairy. They say it's a dairy drink, so I don't know that it's milk necessarily, but I think it has the casein and the milk proteins in it. But there are different options for that. But I would say you definitely need some dry milk in there because it will keep for a long time. And in cooking, you'll use a lot of dairy. In fact, just tonight we had something I made for dinner and it asked for add milk. Well, I just reconstituted some and put it in there because we don't keep milk in the house in the refrigerator. And I can tolerate a little bit of it if it's in a dish, a small amount. So I just keep dry and it works out great and it stores for quite a while. Yeah, 5 virgins. Yeah, if you're grinding flour, if you're grinding your own flour, don't pre-grind it. Grind it and then use it. Yeah, because it'll only store. It'll only keep for a certain length of time. And I know I've talked about in the past how long it'll keep, and I may have even mentioned it in that video where I did the sandwich, the grilled cheese sandwich, about how long it'll last. And 101, I knew somebody was going to say something about soy and man boobs. You have to eat a whole heck of a lot before you're going to get some man boobs. Okay, so don't worry about it. And for some of us, it's not really an option. If I want something, it's going to be soy, or there's also rice milk available, but you can't get it as a powder. It's only available as a liquid, or you can, if you're really industrious and want to make your own rice milk at home, you can do that as well. Rice milk is very thin though. Soy is very, it's thicker and it's closer to the same consistency as dairy milk, cow milk. So yeah, and there's Nido, there's all kinds of stuff available for sure. I would say make sure you've got, now you're saying the Nido whole dry milk powder. My understanding has been that the whole milk won't last as long as the non-fat or low fat. That's just what I've understood. So when you grow up, you want to be like me. No, be better. Okay, let's see here. Now I clicked in the windows and I've lost my list. Let's see. All right, here we go. All right, on to the next one. Okay, bouillon. Now I've got bouillon cubes on here because bouillon's usually pretty cheap, takes up a little bit of space. You can get the actual bouillon cubes. You can get powder, right? In fact, I picked up another giant container of the Knorr chicken broth, chicken bouillon powder. It's delicious. I think it has really good flavor. That's just what I like. There's a lot of stuff out there. Get what you like. If you prefer to store the liquid, so you don't have to mix up a powder, I would suggest, in fact, I would highly recommend get the canned, because it'll be in a can, because anything in a carton, it may have a long shelf life on there, right? A long Best By date. But I have learned the hard way with things stored in the cartons that it really doesn't, for me, I just haven't found that it lasts very long. And things will start kind of breaking down inside the carton a little bit, I don't rely on the carton. And plus also carton is paper. I mean, it can get punctured, there's just too much that can go wrong with a carton, in my opinion. So if it's just your daily use, sure, use a carton. If you're looking for something a little more long-term, medium to long-term, I would suggest, my recommendation is get canned stuff. Get the cans of stock or broth if you don't want to use the powder, but the powder is going to last longer, And that's how you can start making, you could use it to make gravy if you really wanted to. I've done that. You can use it, obviously, to make soups, stews, pretty much, all kinds of stuff. Would I need to find cornmeal to make cornbread? Yes, Monique, you would. You will need cornmeal. Yes, ma'am. And probably on the back of the package, it'll likely have a recipe for cornbread. A lot of them do. There's all kinds of different brands of cornmeal. And I've never found any difference in taste, to be quite honest with you. So whether there's, oh gosh, I can't remember the different brands now. Because I usually take it out and put it in a giant zip bag and put it in the freezer. But yes, you will need cornmeal for sure. Life of bouillon, 4 to 5 years. Yeah, but if you're using it, you're going to be rotating it pretty quickly. So you're probably going to be using it before that time. So, all right, hop back over. All right, so stock and bouillon, and there's different flavors. There's beef, you can get chicken, Knorr, which is Knorr. They make the big powder, big giant container. Well, at Sam's Club, it's a big giant container. In Walmart, it's just a regular size container of bouillon. They have a chicken and tomato one, which sounds kind of interesting. I can't do tomato, so I can't tell you how it tastes. I can tell you that I personally like the chicken one. I thought it was pretty good flavor. I made some soup with it recently, and I was very pleased. But whatever kind you like, whatever sort you like, whatever's available and you like, and or is within your budget, Okay, number 16. I've got this on the list. It's not actually anything that we store because I have a peanut allergy, but it's peanut butter. Peanut butter, guys, is such a staple. If you're able to eat it and you like it, Lord, yes, store peanut butter. Peanut butter on wheat bread, that is a complete protein. Did you know that? I just found out today. The more you know, guys. I feel like if I could shoot that rainbow across the screen right now, I would. The little more you know. But I didn't include something I did not, and I've got a note on here. I did not include nuts and seeds on this list, not because you shouldn't store them, but because nuts and seeds do have a limited shelf life. Because of the oils in the nuts, obviously they can go rancid. Now, I know there are a lot of people out there who will say, no, I've stored them for long term, no problem. I ate them, I didn't die. Okay, that's great, but as just, be aware it can and it will go rancid, So, but if you're eating nuts pretty regularly, again, you're rotating your stock, you're rotating your foods, then, sorry, I just saw that cornbread's not a dessert. Stanley. Sorry, squirrel. Thanks, guys. You sent me off on a squirrel on a Thursday night. That's for Sundays only. Okay, peanut butter, nuts, seeds, those types of things. If you don't have an allergy to them, if no one in your home or in your group or whoever you're storing food for or with has an allergy to it, then it's good to have on hand. I would say nuts and seeds for short term. That's my opinion. Again, we don't store them. We don't keep them because I can't have it because they try to kill me, and that's not good. We can't let that in the house. There are alternatives if you do not have a seed allergy. If you are allergic only to peanuts, but you're fine with everything else, tree nuts are fine, seeds are fine, then there are alternatives. You could get cashew butter, almond butter. There's something called sun butter, which is sunflower seed butter, and actually is pretty tasty. Um, I was able to have a spoonful of it before I realized I was allergic to that too. So, but it's good. Again, the stuff when you start getting into things like that, you're going to be paying a little bit more for it because it's a specialty type thing. It's not a common. So, but if you're looking at stuff like that, if you have allergies or whatever, you already know that it's going to cost a little more. But there are alternatives out there, is my point, and they're good. You know. Oh, have I see your box nuts went rancid 4 months before 4 months before expiration? Wow. Yeah. Oh gosh, I hate that. Yeah, in that case, they were to bug you. They were trying to be. But yeah, man, that sucks because nuts are expensive, you know. When I could eat nuts, my favorite was cashew, which of course one of the more expensive ones. But yeah, it, you beat me to it. 5 versions dried. Yes, pumpkin seeds are very high in protein. In fact, pumpkin seeds alone are a complete protein. And if you want to get into like what is a complete protein and what does that mean, I'm not going to go over that here. I want to get through my list, have time for us to talk because, like I said, I'm adhering to this 1 hour. But you can Google what is a complete protein. And that's where we get into the rice and beans together. It's cheap and it makes a complete protein. At the shortest definition I can give you is all foods have different amino acids and things in them. Some have everything, and that makes it a complete protein, like the pumpkin seeds. Some, like beans and rice, one will have a few amino acids. The other one will have the ones that the rice is missing. Maybe the beans have the amino acids that's missing from the rice. So when you put these together, it makes a complete protein. Okay. The peanut butter on wheat bread or with wheat, right? Same thing, makes a complete protein. So there's all kinds of combinations of stuff. That could probably be another show in itself. I am not a dietitian or nutritionist, so I'm definitely not the one to ask. I'd say Google it and you can read all kinds of stuff about it. Okay. All right. I'm going to keep moving on here. Let's see here. Canned vegetables. So we know about the canned veggies, right? Canned vegetables for sure. Whatever canned veggies you like to have. Now, a lot of people don't like canned food. You prefer frozen. I understand that. I'm not a big canned food person either. However, if you remember back last year, I don't know how it was in your neck of the woods, but where I live, there wasn't no damn frickin' frozen nothing. It was cleaned out, and the canned stuff was on its way out the door too. So, with the hits that are coming to the trucking industry right now let me back up, not to the trucking industry, to the supply chain and things not being able to get trucked quick enough, you know, I would not rely on frozen foods to always be there. Okay. I mean, it's hard enough right now just to get canned foods. So I would say have your canned stuff, because right with the canned veggies here, the next one on the list is canned meat. You want your canned vegetables, you want your canned meat, whatever vegetables you like, whatever sounds good. And I don't know how it is where you are, but where we are, since last year, I actually I don't mind going and looking at the canned veggies because we're seeing stuff that have never been in this region before. They've never been in this area. And I know I know they're throwing whatever on the shelf just to fill the space. And it's probably things that have come from another region or another area that are common there, because I've already talked to people who said, oh yeah, we get, I'm like, who sees canned zucchini with tomatoes? I've never seen that in my life, ever. I never knew such a thing existed. I see it on the shelf now. And I had somebody tell me whatever state they were in somewhere else. I said, oh yeah, we see that all the time. I had no idea. So there's a variety of things out there. The variety is slimming down quite a bit. So that's why it's really important to go ahead and get out there and stock up. What are we doing in here? What coloring books? Y'all are funny. So it's really important to stock up on your veggies and whatever meat you want. If you like tuna, if you like salmon, whatever canned fish, if you like canned fish. If you don't, then don't stock it. Chicken, get it. Chicken is pretty prevalent right now. I have noticed, I was at Sam's Club this morning actually, and the The chicken was pretty well dented. It was so that they at Sam's Club they put those pallets out, right? It was maybe I would say a fourth of a pallet, and they were not stocking in there. It was a little bit I don't want to say eye-opening, but I have not seen Sam's Club like this. Now, maybe they were getting ready to come out in stock. I don't know, but there were a lot of things that were missing off the floor. Now, right now I know they're doing, and I don't want to run too far down the supply chain stuff, but I know right now they're moving things around and putting their seasonal stuff out. But yeah, only a fourth of a pallet of canned chicken at Sam's. So chicken has been pretty prevalent. It's been easy to get. Beef is getting harder and harder and harder to find. Canned pork can be kind of tough to find depending on what you're looking for. But there's all kinds of canned meats out there. You can get canned tamales. If you like Spam, then get Spam. If you like Vienna sausage, then get that. If you don't like either one of those, if you don't want to eat curly toes and tails, because that's what I call it, and I will call it that because I have eaten it, and I'm not turning my nose up to it. I will eat it again if necessary. But let's be honest, y'all, curly toes and tails, and I'm putting it nicely. If you don't want it, then, there are other options available, depending on what your budget is. If you like Keystone meats, you're going to pay a little bit more for that, but I can assure you the quality is absolutely there with Keystone for sure. Walmart in some areas carries Keystone meats if you can find it. If you can't find it, you can order some of them online through Walmart. Your best bet is probably just to go directly to Keystone Meats, their website. But otherwise, there's all kinds of stuff. Like I said, you can get canned tamales, you can get corned beef. There's all kinds of things out there. If you're not sure whether you will like something or not, you know what? Get one can, take it home, open it, and try it. That's what you do. I've had so many people ask me over the last few months, a lot of new people, well, I don't know what I like. Go to the store and buy one can, take it home, open it, and try it. If you like it, turn around and go right back to that store right away because you know how stuff's flying off the shelf. Go back to the store and buy however much you want to buy of it. If you don't like it, then say, ugh, and just be glad you didn't spend a whole lot of money on it to find out that you dislike something, right? So, oh, you're right. I do have 15 minutes left. All right. Thank you, Creative Redundancy. I'm trying to, yes, sardines. I would include that with canned fish. Any kind of canned fish. All right. I'll power through these last few. All right. I've put on here pancake mix or biscuit mix. You can do a lot with that. Some pancake mixes you can make drop biscuits with. So it's a little more versatile. It's not strictly for pancakes. You can make pancakes, waffles, drop biscuits. It's just kind of like a baking mix, kind of like Bisquick, except I'm not putting the Bisquick name specifically out there because there are a lot of different kinds, okay? So I would say consider that, okay? Beverages. Actually, yeah, I'll go ahead with beverages because like I said, this is not any particular order. It was my stream of consciousness at the time. So beverages, I'm talking of things outside of water, okay? If you're a coffee drinker, and some of you are just going to scream right now, and I know people are going to argue with me in the chat, but bear with me. Freeze-dried instant coffee, not just plain old instant coffee, because there's a difference. You want it to say freeze-dried on there, okay? And there's all different kinds of freeze-dried. If you like what's at the store, if you like Folgers freeze-dry, if you like Folgers, then drink Folgers. If you like something, I tease Mister and call him a coffee snob because he likes coffee, but it's good-natured teasing, and I'm looking at him right now. He's not listening to me. He says, yes, I am. I bought him some off of Amazon. There's different kinds that you can get, but I would say freeze-dried. Whatever, if you choose to store coffee, stay away from just instant. You want it to say freeze-dry on there, and I'm really emphasizing that, okay? If you like tea, get tea. Get tea bags. There are tea bags you can buy. I don't remember if it's Lipton's or Louisiana. They may both have it, but you don't have to use boiling water. It's basically sun tea. So you put the bags in the water whether it's just cold water or room temperature, doesn't have to be hot water, and you just let it steep and it'll make tea. There's no boiling water required. If you like sports drinks, get your Gatorade powder because, well, you just want the powder. It'll last a lot longer, okay? If you like Kool-Aid, get your Kool-Aid powder, Tang, Crystal Light, whatever you like for your beverage, okay? Crackers. I see Shirley is here in the chat. Okay, let's see here. Oh, let me go back to my thing. I just saw Shirley and it made me giggle. All right, crackers. That's where I got next. Saltines or Ritz are my suggestion. There's all kinds. There's Townhouse crackers. There's Cheez-Its. You know, I wouldn't put graham crackers as a cracker because it's a sweet, but I would suggest Saltines or Ritz. That's my personal suggestion. You get whatever you like. And the reason I suggest Saltines or Ritz is because you can use either one of those in cooking other things, okay? You can crush up Ritz and put it on a casserole and use it as a topping, okay? It gives a little extra something, you know, fancies up your casserole a little bit. Saltines, you can crush those up. You can eat them with soup. You could eat either one with soup, but saltines you can crush up and also use to help extend meatloaf and things like that. So you can actually use them in other dishes to help extend meat and things like that, okay? Yeah, I would say vacuum seal your crackers for sure. Like I said, wasn't going to get really into storage tonight. Seems like I've done a thing on storage, or we've talked about it at one time. But yes, for crackers, you're definitely going to want to. If you're long-term storing them, you're going to want to get them out of that plastic because saltines in particular are notorious for taking on that plastic sleeve taste. They'll take on that plastic taste real quick. I take ours and I just put them in the quart jars, mason jars, and I dry can them, you know. So, okay, just a couple more here. Spices and seasonings. Whatever spices and whatever seasonings you like. And I'm saying spices, I mean stuff for baking like cinnamon, allspice, pumpkin pie spice, whatever kind of spices like that. And seasonings, when I say that, I mean like your oregano, basil, salt, pepper, Tony Zachary, Zatarans, whatever seasonings you like to go on your food, garlic, onions, you know, if you want dry spices and seasonings, get those and get the big containers, the largest that you can manage to get and that you can keep, okay? Because you're going to use it and they keep for a very, very, very long time, okay? All right, and next I actually have at the very bottom, I don't know why I put it at the bottom, evaporated milk. If you do baking, you know, for evaporated milk in a can, I would say just maybe have a little bit on hand. Depends on how much you use it. I don't use a lot, so I only keep a few cans on hand. Condiments. Condiments are ketchup, mustard, mayo, salad dressing, barbecue sauce, steak sauce, things like that, okay? Mayonnaise, you're going to have to refrigerate. Some of these things you would have to refrigerate, and some of these things keep in mind, depending on what you're prepping for. If you're assuming that you will still have power, then prep based on that. If you think at some point power would not be available, then prep accordingly, okay? But a lot of these, you know, can be, I don't know if any of those are shelf-stable, actually. Ketchup, maybe. Mustard, I believe, is. Mayonnaise, definitely not. Salad dressing, not. I see something about Bugs Bunny lemonade over here. Okay, so let's see. Jarred sauces, and when I'm talking about that, I mean spaghetti sauce. Basically, pretty much spaghetti sauce. Alfredo sauce, things like that. If you eat those, you may want to have a few jars on hand. And that's more of a convenience. That's to me anyway. I know you can make sauce from scratch. You may not have the time, energy, or inclination. You may just want to open that jar. To me, that's kind of up there with like box meals, the hamburger helpers and things like that. Okay, last one, guys. Canned soups and stews. Okay, you can do a lot with those. You can eat them just straight as a can of soup or a can of stew. To stretch it, take some of that rice from earlier or the pasta from earlier and or some beans and add it in there and you've got a meal. Pour it over the rice, pour it over your pasta, put some beans in with it, add another can of vegetables. You've got a big, huge meal to feed a lot of people for cheap, and it's good. It sounds like, ugh, I know some people are like, ew, you mixed all that stuff up. Yeah, well, depending on what kind of soup you've used and what kind of beans you used and the seasonings and spices that you've got, it's actually really good. I know because I did this the other night. I used pasta and some, let's see, it was creamy. Let's see, oh, it was a broccoli potato cheddar soup. It had a little bit of chicken in it. I added a can of turkey to it, mixed it up. It was really good. So there you go. Okay, guys, so that's what I've got. We got 10 minutes. Yay! 10 minutes here. Only spice you need is Coors Light. Ew. Ugh. Oh, Coors Light. That explains a lot, 101. Hey, whatever kind of beans bush beans. Whatever kind of, are you talking about Bush's beans, the canned beans? Because that's definitely very popular out here in Texas. Whatever kind of beans you like. Hey, Farmer Sun Prepping. Felt like I just ran a race with this list. I didn't think it would take that much, that long. Let's see here. Everyone else hates canned chicken. Really? Well, that's the thing, Metal. When you're hungry, yeah, I remember talking with somebody on a survival forum one time somebody was complaining. And I thought, why are you on a survival forum complaining? But they were, because you know how people are. And they were saying something about, oh, I don't want this, or I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like this, I don't want to store that, blah, blah, blah. And one of the old timers who'd been on there ever since the beginning of this board said, you know what, if you get enough wrinkles in your belly, you're going to eat it. You get enough hungry wrinkles in there, you'll eat whatever. And it's true. You know, if you've never actually been hungry, you aren't that picky. And I have been hungry. Let's see. MRE Uncle Ben's rice. It's awesome. Can we say Uncle Ben's? Isn't that racist now? Sorry. Didn't mean to go off on that. Oh. Yeah, there is some really good canned chicken. That's the thing. You know, I've had some newer people ask me in other streams, well, what kind of meat should I store? And I tell them start with chicken because it's pretty basic. I mean, not most people like chicken, and most canned chicken, even store brand, is actually really good. It's not bad. The only difference I would say in some may be salt content. You know, so if you're watching your salt, then you may want to take a peek at the label. You know, of course, I'm always saying you should read labels anyway, but you may want to look at the label and see how much salt. If you're watching that, if it doesn't bother you, then get whatever. Now, something I did leave off on here that I know a lot of us have is mac and cheese. I kind of lumped that in with like the box meal stuff. And but mac and cheese is another thing where you don't have to buy a brand name of that. It doesn't have to be Kraft. It can be store brand, whatever's inexpensive, because it's all pretty much the same thing, you know. But when it comes to the canned meats, yeah, chicken is pretty prevalent. It's easy to get. The beef and things like that have gotten really slim. Be so picky about food after days and yeah, you know, yeah. All right, 101. I see you saying stuff there in the chat, so I'm going to ask you to tone it down just a touch for me, please. Because I see that one comment about Arizona State Prison. Please, sir. Thank you. You want to eat pork? Yeah, well, and see, that's why I'm saying a lot of what I gave on the list, if you have certain dietary requirements, if you don't eat pork, then obviously you won't store pork. You know, like with me, with food allergies, some things I'm allergic to, or is going to make me sick, or I can't eat, you know, for whatever reason, then we don't store it. So that was just my list. Everyone's got their list out there. So you just kind of, I guess it's more like, you know, remind everyone, hey, these are kind of the things, this is what we've got. This is what I think are the basics. You just kind of have to adjust for yourself and your household, you know? So mac and cheese with wild chives. Oh, that sounds interesting. Well, I think I might would a little bit. So I did see occasionally, I was peeking over in the chat and I saw everyone saying things about sweets, cake, and just different things. I don't have it as a staple on here, something to keep in your prepper pantry. But obviously, if you have flour and sugar and, oh, you know what? I totally left off, guys. Yeast. I can't believe I forgot that. Yeast. Because you can make your bread, guys. You can make rolls, all kinds of things. Now, you can make unleavened bread, of course, which just means it's bread without leavening in it, which is, yeast. So you can make it without yeast, but yeah, so yeast. Duh. I can't believe I forgot that. Gosh. I forgot yeet. Is that what you said?
That is what I said.
Yeah, he's over here getting sassy and giggling. Yeah, that's what I said. Oh my gosh. Yeah, exactly. Last but not yeast. Exactly. But bum. Thank you. Creative redundancy will be here all week, guys, or at least for the next 5 minutes. Oh my goodness. That's okay. I know how it goes in chat. I just happened to see that one and went, oh, okay. Let's not get too wild. Cocoa. Yeah, cocoa is another. See, that's the thing. I was like, these are just basic stuff. There's so much more that we can put onto it, Oh, sorry. I just saw my phone just dinged. Prepper Fairy shared your video. Oh, Prepper Fairy. Hello. Lake Fairy Prepper shared your video. Thanks, Lake Fairy. Appreciate you. Oh my gosh. Yeah, cocoa can be stored for sure. If you don't want to store chocolate chips, you can make hot chocolate very easily in the winter. I've made homemade hot chocolate I use soy milk, of course, because, I'm weirdo like that. Soy milk and cocoa powder, and it's really, it's good. So, yeah, it's whatever works for you and your family or your group. Appreciate you, Lake Fairy. But yeah, so okay. I would love to go back through all the comments, but I'm not going to have time for that in the next couple of minutes. Like I said, Hutch is going on. I believe it's 8:15, but I wanted to give everyone a little bit of buffer to, like I said, run the bathroom, get set with your snacks and drink and all before we sit down to watch his little movie. Like, that sounded terrible. We're going to watch your little movie, Hutch, before we watch his film, which I'm kind of excited to see. I'm going to see who else is in it too. Can you make bread without yeast? Yes, you can. You can make bread without yeast. In fact, there were a lot of recipes that went around last year because the great yeast shortage, along with everything else, people were buying up everything, but they had no yeast. So there were recipes on how to make bread without it. And, it's not difficult. Just look up, bread without yeast. There's a ton of recipes out there right now. In fact, a friend of mine who has a food blog started sharing recipes on how to make it without yeast, and she even did videos and things like that to show people. Yeah, homemade hot chocolate is really good. You can even make marshmallows at home, guys. Did you know that? What? Oh, Mister's over here volunteering me. He's like, that's for next time. I have never made homemade marshmallows. I don't plan to. Kind of. He's asking if I know how. It's a fun-sized movie. I hope it's fun. I think it's going to be really good. I mean, I'm interested in seeing it for sure. I know a lot of people had a part in it, a lot of creators here on the platform. So just in the trailer we saw, in the trailer we saw Hutch, of course, and we heard Angry, and we saw Northern Girl Hobbies. So, and I think Ghost has something to do with it. And I'm suspecting probably Native, even though I don't know for sure. I'm making guesses. I only say Ghost because he mentioned something about getting some things together for Hutch. Pizza dough has yeast, pastry dough does not. Yes, exactly. Yeah, and you know what? I'm just going to bitch for a second here before we sign off in just a couple of minutes, but dang pastry dough sheets, Pepperidge Farm. I like the pastry dough sheets at the store. It's the Pepperidge Farm brand. Went up a freaking $1.25. Well, $1.24, but $1.25. What the hell? So I was like, that's a bummer because I really don't want to make pastry dough at home. I mean, I can, But, and that's the thing. So the whole purpose of this was to give, maybe people who are new, this is an idea of things you need to store. And the reason for storing it is not because, well, I don't know what the reasoning was that I thought way back when I first started, why I didn't want to do it, other than I thought, well, that's kind of dumb. All this convenience food, the box stuff is available. Yeah, but, and it's fine to have that, but I would say go for these staples first. Go for these basics first, because you can combine all these. It's going to be much less expensive. You can make a lot more with it than that box that you buy. Okay. And I want to just kind of drive home, it's going to be less expensive. And that's what we need to be looking at right now, because things are going up in price pretty quickly. It's not any kind of a hyperinflation situation or anything like that. But like I just said, damn pastry sheets. I mean, frozen pastry up $1.25. And that's just in the last week. It just suddenly jumped up. I'm like, what? But I really feel like we need to, it's at the risk of sounding cheesy and redundant with my title for the video, for the stream, we need to get back to the basics. Make sure you have your basics for sure. And I strongly encourage you, if you're new to preparedness, for sure, get your basic stuff, the things, whatever's going to work for you, whatever dry goods. If you need help with how to go about storing them in a better way, talk to someone. You can email me even, and I'll be glad to give you some suggestions and tell you some resources that I use, for Mylar bags and oxygen absorbers and things like that, where to get buckets. There are a bazillion videos on this platform on how to do all of that and where to find things. But it's going to start at 8:15, so I'm getting ready to sign off. Misters, reminding me, guys. No, well, I said 8 o'clock earlier, but I realized it was 8:15. But yes. So, yeah, exactly. Without them, you have tortilla or pita. Yeah. So, but yeah, guys, it's really important. Well, I'm glad. Goodbye. I'm glad you feel smarter. The more you know. But it is really important for us to have these basics, because you can do so much more with them. If you have a stack of flour, you can make many, many loaves of bread. You can make a lot of things with a bag of flour versus just having a bag of frozen bread in your freezer. Then when you're out and you have no more bread. Things aren't maybe always going to be readily available. I have, again, at the risk of sounding like Debbie Downer or like a doomer, I just have a feeling that we may start seeing, we are going to start seeing more and more shortages, and none of us know how bad it can get. Okay, so it's better to have these things on hand, and these are just basics that you should have in your pantry anyway. You should always be able to make something, So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I'll start rambling off again. So, okay, guys, we're going to Eric, just in time. We're signing off. We're going to go over to Hutch's channel. How do you make endless breadsticks? Olive Garden does it. There's probably recipes on there. Oh, I will say this. If a lot of people say, I don't like to cook, or I don't know how to cook, get a cookbook, ask relatives, friends, look online, watch the Food Network. That's how I learned how to cook. Seriously, and I'll tell that story some other time. Yeah, Needy Homesteader. Yes, watch her channel. Yes, she has all kinds of everything. You can learn and get recipes on the internet here for free, guys. I mean, you don't even have to buy a cookbook. I encourage cookbooks, because if for some reason you were to be without power, then you still have a recipe to refer to. But if you like certain foods, like I know one you were teasing about Olive Garden breadsticks, but there are dupes. There are recipes out there for dupes of a whole lot of your favorite foods from restaurants and fast food. So look it up. Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and sign it off here, and going to run over to, yeah, freeze-dry coffee does last for just about forever. Okay, we're going to run over to Hutch Homestead. In fact, let me, let's see here. If I can get his channel, I will drop the link if anyone doesn't know it. I haven't seen Stuart in here. Stuart, are you here? Did I miss you? I think I might have missed him. Or I haven't seen him. Okay, I'm going to drop the link. That's for Hutch Homestead. Oops, I should have put his There we go. So that's a link to his channel. He did a movie called The Mag, and it looks really good. And I may or may not have had something in there. I may or may not have contributed. I don't know. You're welcome, Monique. Yeah. Info and laughs chat. Yeah. Chat's always, I could tell it's flying here. It looks like a good crowd. I very much wanted to jump over here, but I definitely wanted to get the information out as well. Okay, guys, I'm going to end it here because you know how I am. I'll start just chit-chatting because I do. Hey, Stuart. Okay. Excellent. Well, I'm glad you're here. It occurred to me, I was like, wait, I didn't see Stuart, but I was trying not to look in the chat. All right, everybody, let's take a little break and head on over to Hutch and see about the movie The Mag. Stuart pulling gray man. All right, guys, I hope you found it informative. If you did not, then share it with somebody who will find it informative. If you don't like it, then share it with somebody who might like it. I hope you'll give me the thumbs up. I'm quoting Mr. here because I teased him last week or on Sunday. I hope you'll give it a thumbs up. And thanks, Lake Fury, again for sharing it. I appreciate that very much. And we'll see you guys over on Hutch's channel here in just a few minutes. Y'all have a great evening, and I'll be back on Sunday. We'll do our Sunday social, our squirrely Sunday social. Okay, guys. See y'all in a little bit over at Hutch's. Bye.